everyone. Thanks so much for joining us this evening, and thank you to Kim in the BevCam booth. I know we're rolling and ready to go on BevCam. Thank you for that. Before I officially call the meeting to order, I'll run through the agenda just so that we can all be on the same page about what we have in front of us this evening. At the very top of the agenda, we will do 2 resolutions. These are joint resolutions that were actually presented originally on Friday with Mayor Cahill. We have 2 special guests here, Leanne Smith and Dave Modzelewski. Sorry, Coach Dave. Was that pretty close? All right, thank you. And you'll hear more about them in a moment, but thank you both for being here with us. We have a public hearing posted for 7:30, and then we'll take up some regular business, take a break for some subcommittee work, and come back to finish it all up. So with that, I'll officially call to order this regular meeting of the Beverly City Council, Monday, October 21st, 2024, 7 o'clock p.m. Ms. Kent, will you please call the roll?
Bowen? Here. Crowley? Here. Feldman? Here. Hausman? Here. Rotundo? Here. Spang? Here. St. Hilaire? Here. Sweeney? Here. And Flowers?
Here. Thank you, Ms. Kent. Councilor Spang, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? And I would ask that we would also observe a moment of silence for Dan Driscoll, who was an over 30-year volunteer in the city clerk's office. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Spang, and thank you all for that moment of silence. Dan was, as I mentioned, a volunteer at the city clerk's office for over 30 years, and one of the things that he did and was very passionate about was helping people from around the world. If they had family connections here in Beverly, he would help connect them and do their genealogy for them. So what an interesting and wonderful passion that helped people all around the world tell their family story. So a moment of silence for Dan and remembering all those who knew him and loved him. So that does bring us to our 2 resolutions, and I saw Mayor Cahill also is here with us. Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, would you like to join me at the podium to do the resolutions for our guests?
Just got a good pronunciation. Yeah.
Sorry, these are our cover.
Great. Do you want to say something before we read?
Sure.
So I guess, hi, it's good to see everybody, and it's really exciting to honor 2 of our own Beverly residents. We got to participate in honoring them at the Y last Friday, and I remember the last time I think we had an Olympic medalist. I was about 10, so it doesn't happen just because. And to have two medalists, 2 multiple medalists, Paralympic medalists here living in Beverly, doing their training and their work, their great work out of the Sterling Center Y, and having Leanne be a Beverly High grad, that's just pretty amazing. So all good stuff, and I will say what I said the other day. It's fantastic to honor them for having achieved something that very few people in the world achieve athletically. Listening to each of their stories and getting a better sense of who they are as people, we didn't need medals to recognize that they're both incredible role models and to be admired in our community for doing great things. So I'm just grateful we're here to honor them.
Yeah, as I said, we had a chance to celebrate along with members of the swim team. Both Leanne and Dave are coaches of the Sharks YNS swim team at our local Y, and many others, young gymnastic athletes and members of the Y community and members of the wider community on Friday. And so Dave and Leanne have received the fancy official versions of these, but we wanted to, I think rightly so, have a moment in council chambers with all of you councilors to be able to celebrate their accomplishments.
Should we go with Dave first? No, Majeski. Okay. So I'm going to read this just to have said it right. Please come up. Yes, Coach Dave. Resolution for Dave Majeski.
Whereas Dave Majeski is a Beverly resident originally hailing from Newtown, Connecticut, He started his swimming career at an early age in Newtown, swimming for a summer league team, and
whereas after swimming at the club level for the University of Connecticut, he started his coaching career at the Wilton YMCA as an assistant coach and subsequently as the head coach at the Cheshire YMCA and Cheshire High School girls swim team, and
whereas Dave is the current head coach at the YMCA of the North Shore and is in charge of the competitive aquatics program after previously coaching at the Marblehead YMCA. He has coached future Olympic and Paralympic medalists, Olympic trial qualifiers, YMCA national champions, and high school station championships, and
whereas Dave is a Level 3 U.S. Paralympic certified coach and a member of the Team USA national coaching staff for U.S. Paralympic Leanne Smith. He coaches Beverly local and two-time Paralympian Leanne Smith and has traveled all over the world with Team USA, including World Championships, Para-Pan American Games, and City Para Swimming World Series. And
whereas this year Dave was named as one of the 8 coaches to travel with Team USA at the 2024 Paralympic Games in Paris, after Leanne qualified for the 2024 Paralympic team in 6 events. Team USA Paralympic Swimming won a total of 30 medals, 10 of which were gold. Leanne earned 2 silver medals in the mixed 4x50 freestyle relay and the mixed 4x50 medley relay, and 2 gold medals in the 100-meter freestyle S3 and the 50-meter freestyle S4.
now therefore, in recognition of his accomplishments in representing Beverly on the highest stage at the 2024 Paris Paralympic Games, we, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor of Beverly, and the members of the Beverly City Council, ask that all the residents of Beverly and those present here today join us in extending our congratulations and sincere appreciation and orders that the city clerk spread a copy of this resolution upon the city records. I believe yes, oh yes.
Yep.
They have the resolution.
Do you want to say it? I told David to say something.
All right. I just want to thank you all, the City of Beverly, the YMCA of the North Shore, and YMCA of the USA, really. As you heard, my coaching career started in the YMCA level. I've been a YMCA member throughout my entire coaching career. It means a lot to me, and it also allowed me the opportunity to meet Leanne, travel with Leanne, and support Leanne through her Paralympic journey. And without all of your support and the town's support, I don't believe that would have happened as easily as it did. So thank you all. Thank you to the City of Beverly, and thank you to the YMCA of the North Shore.
Okay, now for our Paralympian, Leanne Smith. Whereas Leanne Smith is a Beverly resident and graduate from Beverly High School, she has always been involved in athletics, mostly through the Greater Beverly YMCA, where she currently trains and coaches. And we learned the other day that she first loved gymnastics, eventually later got into swimming.
Whereas in 2012, Leanne was diagnosed with a rare neurological disease, dystonia, after experiencing a sudden onset of facial paralysis and numbness. She got involved with adaptive swimming after a therapist recommended aquatic therapy, and
Whereas her performance at the 2020 U.S. Paralympic Swimming Team Trials earned her a spot at the 2021 Paralympic Games in Tokyo, where she won a silver medal in the S3 100-meter freestyle, and
whereas in 2022, she faced adversity, having been diagnosed with a respiratory infection that landed her in the hospital and ICU with a partially collapsed lung. Leanne had to relearn everyday tasks like eating, speaking, and swallowing, and
whereas, despite facing adversity, Leanne rehabbed and fought to make it back to her 4th World Para Swimming Championships to take home the bronze in 2,000-meter freestyle S3, and
whereas this year Leanne earned a spot at the U.S. Paralympic Swimming Team Trials, where she qualified for the 2024 Paralympic Games in Paris, France in 6 events. Leanne earned 2 silver medals in the mixed 4x50 freestyle relay and the mixed 4x50 medley relay, and 2 gold medals in the 100-meter freestyle S3, and the 50-meter freestyle S4. On Friday, I said 500-meter, which is a much longer race, so I'm really focused on not making you do a distance swim, Leanne.
And this last paragraph, remember, we presented this originally on Friday, which was October 18th, at the ceremonies at the Y. So now, therefore, in recognition of her accomplishments in representing Beverly on the highest stage at the 2024 Paris Paralympic Games, we, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor of Beverly, and members of the Beverly City Council, do hereby proclaim October 18th, 2024 as Leanne Smith Day in the city of Beverly. Well, so we'll say this, Leanne actually spoke quite extensively at the Y Friday. There was a really cool Q&A between the CEO of the Y, Chris, and Leanne, told a lot of her story. So Leanne isn't all that interested in grabbing a mic tonight, that's fine. But I will say that, you know, Leanne, it's so impressive what you've been faced with, and the heart and the courage and the persistence and the all amazing things that you bring to your life every day are really inspiring. And I'm excited to have met you really for the first time last week and know that you're a neighbor. So thanks so much and congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor. So, councilors, we now have the opportunity to officially vote to approve the resolutions that you just heard for Leanne Smith and for Coach Dave. And so I'd first entertain a motion to approve Order 289. That's the resolution for Leanne. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. That carries 9-0. And then I would entertain a motion to approve Order 290. That's the resolution for Coach Dave.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. That also carries 9-0. Thank you very much, everyone. Councilors, I would entertain a motion to take a 10-minute recess to give you a chance to greet Dave and Leanne, and also give them a chance to be able to leave and not stay for our meeting if they would like to do that. All those in favor? All right, we'll take a 10-minute recess and be back. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We'll call the council back to order. And congratulations again to Leanne and Coach Dave. And what a joy it was to have them here with us this evening and to get to celebrate them and their accomplishments one more time. We have a few minutes before our public hearing, so we'll go to acceptance of minutes of previous meetings. And we have one set of meeting minutes that we can approve this evening. That's from our regular city council meeting from October 7th, 2024. Is there a motion to approve those minutes? All those in favor?
Aye.
That carries 9-0. Thank you. Those are approved. Ms. Kent, let's go to communications from His Honor the Mayor, please.
Order number 268, Dear Honorable City Council, I am pleased to inform you that the City of Beverly has been awarded a $24,600 grant from the Mass Culture Council to support Beverly's local culture council. The public funding is provided to promote education, diversity, inclusion in the arts, humanities, and sciences, to foster a rich culture life for all Massachusetts residents and contribute to the vitality of communities and economy. The Massachusetts Culture Council receives funding from the Mass Legislature and the National Endowment for the Arts. Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A requires both City Council and Mayor approval before any earmark, donation, or gift to the city can be expended for their prescribed purpose. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Thank you. Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Order number 269, in order, Dear Honorable City Council, enclosed, please find two proposed orders approving the grant of a utility easement to Massachusetts Electric Company. The easement will allow for the installation of one anchor and guy wire at 4 McPherson Drive. The installation is related to the renovations of the McPherson Youth Center. Because the value is under $35,000, no bids are required to be solicited. Pursuant to MGL Chapter 30B, Section 16, the council must first declare the property available for disposition and an order attached for your consideration and approval. The second attached order for your consideration and approval authorizes that the city to convey the easement to Massachusetts Electric Company. I respectfully request the council approve these orders at your next meeting. Thank you for your attention in this matter. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs.
Order number 269A, and this is part of that one. Order authorizing grant of utility easement to Massachusetts Electric Company at 4 McPherson Drive.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs as well.
Order number 270, Dear Honorable City Council, I respectfully request your approval of a loan authorization in the amount of $24,600,000 to fund the City Hall rehabilitation project. This authorization includes estimated construction and soft costs, as well as costs for temporary rental and relocation while the rehabilitation work is performed. The order must be published at least 10 days prior to final passage, should be referred to the Committee on Finance and Property for a report thereon, and requires a public hearing. Please initiate action on this request at your meeting this evening by setting a public hearing. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Dear Honorable City Council, I am pleased to inform you that the City of Beverly has been awarded an $85,000 housing choice grant from the Haley Driscoll Administration's Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. This grant funding will be used to support the development of an economic development action plan. The economic development action plan will build on recent planning work to identify implementation strategies, related actions, and community partnerships to meet the city's broad economic development goals outlined in the city's master plan. With this grant, the city looks forward to partnering with the Economic and Community Development Council and a technical team to create a citywide economic development action plan. Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A requires both City Council and Mayor approval before any grant, earmark, donation, or gift to the city can be expended for their prescribed purpose. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Order number 272. Mayor Michael Cahill's notice of appointment to city office under City Charter, Section 3-3. Marcus Glenn for 28 Columbus Avenue, number 4, to serve on the planning board, effective till October 16, 2024.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs.
Order number 283. Dear Honorable City Council, I respectfully request your approval of a loan authorization in the amount of $3,516,000 to authorize the city to order 8 electric school buses and charging infrastructures, which will be delivered over the next 3 years. It is our intent to avoid borrowing at all of this property, as majority of the cost will be covered through various grants, incentives, ultimately reducing the net cost to the city. However, the loan order is necessary to allow the city to enter the purchase orders. The City of Beverly has secured a $1,455,000 grant from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency Clean School Bus Program, as well as a $1,459,000 grant from the Massachusetts Accelerated Clean Transportation School Bus Fleet Deployment Program, and to implement this program. The city also plans to leverage other incentives, including the direct payment option under the Inflation Reduction Act of $320,000 for vehicles and additional credits for charging stations. The order must be published at least 10 days prior to final passage, should be referred to the Committee on Finance and Property. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Dear Honorable City Council, I am pleased to inform you that the City of Beverly has been awarded a $95,000 earmark in the FY25 state budget to support costly resiliency projects. The Sustainability Department is discussing how best to utilize this funding. Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A requires both City Council and Mayor approval for any grant, earmark, donation, or gift to the city can be expended for their prescribed purpose. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Dear Honorable City, Order 285. Dear Honorable City Council, I am pleased to inform you that the City of Beverly has been awarded a $200,000 earmark in the FY25 state budget to renovate Gillis Park in Ward 2. This funding will be used to improve the picnic pavilion area, play structure, basketball court, entrance area with Veterans Monument, and for improved landscaping throughout the park. In addition, the park will be fully ADA compliant to all residents can enjoy the amenities without barriers. Thank you to State Representative Jerry Paracella for advocating for this funding to support this project. Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A requires both City Council, Mayor approval before any grant, earmark, donation, or gift to the city can be expended for their prescribed purposes. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Order number 286. Dear Honorable City Council, I am pleased to inform you that the City of Beverly has been awarded a $100,000 earmark in the FY25 state budget to support planning and engineering costs associated with Phase 2 of the Route 128 Exit 19 Interchange Improvement Project in Beverly. Thank you to State Representative Jerry Paracella for advocating for this funding. Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A requires both City Council and Mayor approval for any earmark, grant, donation, or gift to the city can be expended for their purpose. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property. This brings us to 7:30, and so we will pick up here with our posted public hearing. And I will mention that if there are members of the public here who wish to speak in this public hearing, there is a sign-up sheet on the table over by the window, and you can sign up to speak there, and we'll take public speakers in the order that they are signed up. I will officially open that public hearing now on Order 256. Ms. Kent.
Order number 256, the City of Beverly ordered that the City Council of the City of Beverly hold a public hearing on Monday, October 21st, 2024 at 7:30 p.m. at 191 Cabot Street, 3rd floor, City Council Chambers, relative to a transfer request of $2,850,000 from the Road Resurfacing Account Fund 056 into the Road and Sidewalks Capital Account Fund 581. And this was published in the newspaper on October 11th, 2024.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kent. We have Brian Ailes, our Finance Director, here with us already at the podium. Thank you, Mr. Ailes. And I know we have Lisa Chandler, our Director of Engineering, who has already moved closer to the podium. And our City Council Budget Analyst, Mr. Jerry Perry, is here with us as well. Thank you all for being here. And I will take a moment and also just mention, I'm remiss in not doing it sooner, our Grants Director, Catherine Barrett, is here with us as well. Thank you, Ms. Barrett. And Assistant City Solicitor Beth Oldmixon is also here with us this evening. Thank you all very much for being here. Mr. Ailes.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, councilors. You may be familiar with these types of transactions because it's not uncommon that we do these. This particular one is a fund transfer. So when we bring money into the city's treasury, we're unable to expend it without some form of a council approval. That's either exception of a grant or transferring and allowing the funds to be spent for a specific purpose that it was intended for. In this case, the request for $2.85 million represents two components. The first is the remaining road resurfacing funding contained in the National Grid memorandum of agreement that the city entered into related to the 115 kV work that's being performed. We've already transferred $1 million that they gave us in FY20, I believe it was the end of FY23. And then this represents an additional $2.25 million, totaling $3.25 million that National Grid will have given the city to repave the streets along the route of the construction. The second component of this transfer is the other $600,000 that's sitting in this account. This particular account that the monies are received in is the mechanism that the city has to receive funds when utility companies or private property owners cut into a street to either perform some utility work or some sewer work or some water work. They're charged a surcharge depending upon the condition of the road. That surcharge is deposited into this original fund, and we're unable to spend it until the city council authorizes a transfer. In this case, we're requesting the money be transferred to the Road and Sidewalk Capital Fund. And the reason we're doing that is so that the funds are available to meet the needs of the road work we've laid out for this fiscal year. But also, that fund rolls year over year, so we don't have to come back at the end of every fiscal year and seek an additional appropriation. Once the funds are shifted there, we're able to utilize them for the road resurfacing plan that we've shared with you and that the engineering department has shared with you. So that's the order before you this evening. I'm happy to discuss any of the details or mechanics that you may have questions about.
Thank you, Mr. Ailes. I saw Councilor St. Hilaire and many other councilors, so we'll go as I see your hands, but let's start with Councilor St. Hilaire. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. I have a quick question and then perhaps a follow-up. Is this the same road and sidewalk budget that all the road and sidewalk paving happens throughout the city?
So the $600,000 is intended to supplement the annual road and sidewalk budget. It was always programmed into that multi-year plan that the engineering department has shared with you. The National Grid portion of this will be allocated in a separate bucket within the fund so that the full $3.25 million will be accounted for just for the roads related to the N-Grid 115 project.
Okay, and I guess the follow-up question is, recently read the letter from the mayor talking about zeroing out the road and sidewalk budget over the next 2 years. How does that relate to this?
Yeah, so, I mean, this funding transfer is really to support the work that we're doing this construction season and this coming spring, correct? Yeah. And so those are all roads that we've all discussed that have been part of the road plan that you guys have all reviewed with the engineering department. So this transfer is just supporting the work that we've basically got programmed in the very near future. As we move into next fiscal year, depending upon the other constraints that are placed into the budget, we may have to make decisions around our ability to fund roads and sidewalks and how we do that going forward. The mayor has said publicly that a strategy that we would look to employ to make sure that we're not reducing the resources that we're putting towards roads and sidewalk is to begin to look to the free cash reserves in the near term, and by that I mean, you know, the next year to 2 years, to ensure that there's still sufficient resources going to that important asset within the city. But they're somewhat separate because one's intended to support the ongoing work that's already programmed, and the other piece is kind of looking forward into the future.
Okay. Thank you, appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you, Councilor. I'm going to alternate sides a bit. So Councilor Spang, Councilor Feldman, you're on deck. Councilor Spang.
Thank you. Just a clarifying question, because it has come up a couple times in the Citizens Advisory Committee meetings. So the funds, the $3.25 million from National Grid for that repaving project, those funds are only used, there's like an accounting mechanism so that they're only used for those roads, right?
Yes, we'll hold it separate and account for it separately. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Feldman, and then Councilor Bowen. We'll go back to the side. You'll be on deck. And then Councilor Sweeney.
Thank
Councilor
you.
Houseman.
Along those same lines, the $600,000 portion, none of that will be used for anything related to the National Grid? Is it covered completely by the National Grid allocation of 3.5 or 2.5? in its entirety, or is the city, is any portion of that 600,000 going towards any of the area that is impacted by the pipeline?
Not by the 115 kV,
Cable,
right?
cable,
No.
the cable project, yes. Voltage cable.
Thank
So
you,
that
Ms. Chandler.
$600,000 is comprised of a couple of different payments, as Bryant mentioned. Sometimes private property owners cut into recently paved roads and we have surcharges in place. Sometimes National Grid does work in the roadway, and rather than having them repay it, we take a payment from them because we could stretch our dollars further. So part of that $600,000 is actually a payment from National Grid that covers all of the work that they did on Cabot Street here. They gave us $239,000, because that's what they said it would have cost them to pave that street. We can pave it for less than that, so it's allowing us to do some of the sidewalk work that you see out there. So that $600,000 is not slated to go towards anything that has to do with the 115 kV money specifically, but it is going to go into the general roads and sidewalks fund. And then if 2.5 years from now, when we're done paving all of the 115 kV streets and we find that the $3.25 million didn't cover it, at some point in whatever, 2 years from now, roads and sidewalk money might have to cover the balance. But it's not, this $600,000 is not intended to do any work to the 115 kV route. It's comprised of a payment for the Thaxton neighborhood from National Grid electric work, Cabot Street from National Grid gas work, and then odds and ends cuts into freshly paved roads.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm sorry, just to, it's programmed for things other than the 115 kV.
Correct, it's programmed to pave the Thaxton neighborhood, which is currently getting paved tomorrow. It's the Cabot Street work that we're hoping to get paved within the next, like, 2 or 3 weeks. So it's immediate need paving projects.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Feldman. Counselor Bowen and then Counselor Sweeney.
Thank you. I had some of the same questions, so we'll skip over those. I was wondering about the $1 million already transferred in September 2023 for National Grid impacted streets. I think at the time we talked about some sidewalk work and other preparatory work that the city would be able to start with that funding in some of the neighborhoods. So since we're accounting for that separately, was hoping for an update on how far that's gotten us, what that tells us about what this next tranche will be like.
So it hasn't gotten us very far because we have not done much of that work yet. We did use some of it when we touched up the trench along Hale Street prior to the Grand Prix. So the paving on Hale Street was used with 115. I'm going to refer to it as 115 kV money just for the separate boundaries of everything. What we were hoping and are still hoping to accomplish in cooperation with National Grid is paving part of the route this fall. They've had 2 fairly major setbacks in the past couple of weeks, both with pulling cable and then obviously the 2 hurricanes kind of depleted their resources of being able to allocate it here. A lot of National Grid resources were sent elsewhere. So they were originally slated to be done soon so that we could start our work. I'm hoping that they can still be done soon so we can start our work, but what transferring this money in allows us to do is when we can hit the ground, we can hit the ground running hard. I know it sounds like a lot of money, but it starts going fast. Hopefully the portion from the intersection of Hale and East Lothrop all the way back towards Goat Hill can be paved. We intended to start some sidewalk work. Some additional National Grid work had to happen prior to us doing that they have not yet fully finished, or we didn't feel comfortable doing it and then having it potentially be altered. So the $1 million that was already transferred is still sitting there, but when we are able to begin really working and accomplishing everything, that $1 million is going to go very quickly. So having this other $2 million set aside and ready to go allows us to not stumble in being able to pay the bills and just have everything scheduled to the best of our ability.
Thank you. So I would love to get a ballpark of what that portion of the Hale Street work was, just for context. But had a separate question on the longer-term strategy around road and sidewalk funding. For that 600,000 that I guess was already envisioned to be needed for this year, on top of the appropriation that we all came together to pass for this fiscal year 25 budget, and our expectations for state funding and all of that, an additional 600,000 needed just to accomplish what's already programmed. Do we have a sense for how quickly that sort of sporadic revenue source might be replenished and available for future years' work, or is this really just a one-time opportunity because of two particularly large projects paying in? Because it seems like a fairly large amount to have a hole in this year's budget to fill, with the anticipation of larger holes in the future, and knowing that this isn't revenue that we budget as revenue, so it sort of comes in and then has to be dealt with. Do we have any projections for what that might look like in the future?
This isn't the first time we've done this transfer. We did one about 3 or 4 years ago. It was a similar value. I think it was around $500,000. Might have been in the 400s, high 400s. And that will replenish itself. You can see we drew it down at that point. Now there's 600 again in the account 3 or 4 years later. So every 3 or 4 years, we'll be able to look to this fund to kind of infuse some funding. But it's not so much that there was a budget shortfall. I think part of it had to do with the desire of everyone here and everyone we hear from regularly that we need to do more in the way of roads and sidewalks. And so it was an effort by our engineering team to put together a plan that could program this money and still be realistic with the resources we have available from our vendors, as well as the size of the construction season that we need to work within the confines of the construction season. So it was a conscious effort by all involved in the decision-making to pull this money in this year to try to get a couple more roads done. Yeah.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Sweeney, and then Counselor Houseman will go to you. Counselor Rotundo.
Thank you, Madam President. I only have one question that wasn't asked yet, and it's a little bit bigger picture. At this time, do we expect that the entirety of the funding from the 115 kV agreement will be required to repave the impacted route, or is there still a hope, as was kind of discussed early on in the project, that some of this funding will be able to do necessary work on streets that are maybe not on the route but are right next to the route? Do we have any idea of kind of the scope of how far this funding will go at this time, or is it expected that we really will only be able to repave the impacted route and that's it with the entirety of the funds?
Yeah, I think it's a fair question, and I don't want to speak for the engineering department because they do a lot of these estimates and know it better, but I will just say that like many things in the world of finance, we're not really going to know until we get out there and get bids on the projects and look at what the contract rates are at the time we're paving these roads. I do know they built in some contingency into the original budget, but at this point, I think we're confident that we likely will be able to do the full route. And there are a few, correct me if I'm, why don't you speak then? I don't want to misspeak, so.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ailes.
And to Brian's point, all of our bids go out again the end of December. So we'll know in January what all of our new pricing is.
Okay.
But we are confident that it will cover the route. I am not confident that it will cover much, if anything, more. I'm happy to be wrong about that, but for right now, I believe it's covering the route in its entirety.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you, Ms. Chandler.
Thank you.
Madam President.
Thank you, Counselor Sweeney. Counselor Houseman.
Yeah, really, my question, I think, was just answered. I was interested to know whether or not the funds that are available and allocated would cover the entirety of the project. Although, as Councilor Sweeney talked about, the MO does contemplate perhaps excess being applied to secondary roads affected. So I'm glad to hear that the projection is that, notwithstanding supply chains, inflation, and everything else, which isn't really contemplated in the MOA, that there is sufficient funds to cover the whole thing. Is that correct? Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Rotundo.
So to play devil's advocate, in the event that costs go up exceptional. Do we have a mechanism to go back to National Grid to ask for additional money to cover just the KV project, roads, and the sidewalks? I know there's an MOU and everything, but do we have a mechanism that we can go back if it goes 100,000 above it or $500,000 because of unexplained costs?
So I'm not an attorney. I don't pretend to be one, right? That's what we have legal counsel for. But I will say that in the past, we had overruns with our engineering costs related within this MOA, and National Grid was comfortable having those discussions and actually ended up more than doubling the allocation that was in the original MOA for engineering services for the project. So I'd be confident that they're going to continue to be a good partner in the sense of being a good community partner. The intent of that MOA was to provide the resources to pave the route. So it's certainly a conversation we as a city would need to engage in, but I can't say with certainty how they would take that.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Rotundo.
Council President?
I'm going to go to Councilor Bowen and then.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Councilor Bowen.
It's just a follow-up to Mr. Ailes' comment about the MOA and Councilor Rotundo's. Mr. Ailes, do you know who drafted the MOA on behalf of the city? And do you have any insight into why there were not any escalators or contingencies built into the MOA to account for the possibility of cost overruns? I mean, it sounds like we have had a good relationship with National Grid in terms of them picking up costs, but there's really nothing in the MOA that I'm aware of that sort of addresses those contractually.
Yeah, I'm not aware.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Bowen.
Thank you. So one of the things that's also been discussed at the Community Advisory Committee meetings is just setting up some time at the appropriate time for a cross-posted meeting with either the Public Services Committee or Committee of the Whole or both, so that counselors, members of that Community Advisory Committee that is more ad hoc membership, and the National Grid team can meet with the engineering department and talk about those repaving plans in a little bit more detail. So given that the funds are now in and the timelines are still a little bit shifting based on where National Grid is, I was curious when the most appropriate time for that might be, to go into the weeds a little bit more about, which sections are ready for which types of work, for neighbors to share any thoughts that they have about, particular portions of sidewalk or street that they care very deeply about, and for us to just have those updates so we can be responsive as the plans go forward.
I don't know. I suppose whenever you want to set it up, it'll just be amorphous. We won't have exact dates because everything is constantly changing. But in terms of scope of work itself, I mean, that's not really going to differ. So if you want to set that up between all the interested parties and just send me an invite, I can attend. I will say that the original timeline was that National Grid expected by November 1st, I believe, to be done with a large portion of it. I do not believe that they are going to hit that date, given that it's a week and a half from now. But that being said, whether we say we're paving now or it winds up being paved in the spring, the road that we'll pave is the same, so.
Thank you, Ms. Chandler. Thank you, Councilor. Are there any other questions from the council for Ms. Chandler or Mr. Ailes? Thank you both very much. Mr. Perry, I'd like to invite you if you want to add anything or offer any thoughts.
Good evening, Madam President. I think this is the first time I've been back since the end of June. I'm sure you all missed me. In any event, I wrote to you last week briefly about this matter. A lot of the questions you've asked, especially Councilor Rotundo, I was on the phone working on those issues today. So I asked those same questions about what happens if there's not enough money. And while I'm not an expert in the MOA business there, I think the city, if they do come up short, I think the city will take every action they can to try to achieve that. But I've been told they're optimistic that the funds that they have will cover the 115 project. So that said, I really have nothing more to add because you've really asked a lot of great questions. Madam President, it's my recommendation that the council pass the request of the mayor to transfer the funds so we can spend them for this project. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions anybody may have.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. Councilors, are there any questions for Mr. Perry at this time? Okay, thank you, Mr. Perry. Ms. Kent, there were no members of the public signed up to speak, is that true?
True.
Are there any members of the public here who wish to speak in this public hearing? Seeing none, I'll close this public hearing and refer that back to the Committee on Finance and Property for further action this evening. Thank you all very much. Let's go, Ms. Kent, to communications from other city officers and boards, please.
Order number 273 from the city clerk, renewal application for Class 2 license for Generation 2000 Auto Sales LLC, DBA Marshall Motors North, 94 Cabot Street.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs.
Order 274, city clerk's office, renewal application for Class 2 license for Beverly Gas and Tire, Inc., 383 Cabot Street.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs.
Order 275, city clerk's office, renewal application for a taxi delivery license for Logistics Transportation Services, Inc., 8 Monroe Street.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs.
Order number 276 from the city clerk, renewal application for Class 2 license for All Wheels, Inc., 97 Park Street.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs.
Order number 277 from the city clerk, a renewal application for a Class 3 license for All Wheels, Inc., 97 Park Street.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs.
Order number 278 from the city clerk, a renewal application for a Class 2 license for Alba Auto, 449 Cabot Street.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs.
Order number 279 from President Flowers, a letter for council to recommend the safety concerns of the North Shore Education Consortium to parking and traffic.
Thank you. Councilors, I would entertain a motion on the floor to be able to just refer this Order 279, my letter, and the supporting letters from members of that community to parking and traffic to be able to take up at their next meeting.
So moved.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. 9-0, and I will refer that to parking and traffic, and we'll appreciate their insight on that. Thank you.
Order number 280 from Budget Analyst Jerry Perry, a report regarding an elected salary evaluation related to the mayor, city council, and school committee.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Order number 281 from Planning Director Darlene Nguyen, request to waive the city rights of first refusal on resale of an affordable housing unit, new buyer.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs.
Order number 282 from Finance Director Brian Ailes, a request for approval to use FY 2025 appropriated funds towards 6 prior year invoices totaling $3,442.92.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Order number 287 from the city engineer, Lisa Chandler, request for ordinance change section 270-25B, stop intersections.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs. Oh, sorry, you're waiting for me. Let's go to communications, applications, and petitions.
Order number 288 from National Grid, work order 30992374 to install underground facilities on Martin Street.
Please refer that to the Committee on Public Services. Before we take a break for committee work, let's go to motions and orders. We have one order, Order 266. This is the proposed order amending Section 58-2, Officers and Employees, City Clerk of the City Ordinances. This is to have this section better align with the city charter. And so it's already had a first vote. It's available for a second vote and final passage this evening. Ms. Kent.
Legal notice 266, be it obtained by the City Council of the City of Beverly as follows. Proposed order amending Section 58-2B, Officers, Employees, City Clerk, term of office of the city ordinances. The city clerk shall be elected by the City Council to serve for a term of 3 years and until a successor is chosen and qualified. Ordinance to take place upon publication and final passage, and this was in the newspaper on October 11th, and this is the final passage.
Thank you, Ms. Kent. I'd entertain a motion to approve for final passage Order 266. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Bowen.
Thank you. I had mentioned when this came up for the first vote that I may propose amendments to update the gendered language in this section, and also it's actually in the following section, 58-2C, that has remaining language, so I believe that would have to be just part of a separate ordinance review. So it's just a reminder that as we take up ordinance language, to keep an eye out because there is still some gendered language lurking.
Thank you, Councilor Bowen. And I think you are correct that the next section would be an additional update, and so we should undertake that. Thank you. Any other comments or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 9-0, so that is for final passage. And thank you also to Assistant Solicitor Oldmixon, who assisted in getting this drafted and in front of us. Thank you, Ms. Oldmixon, for your help. I would entertain a motion to take a brief break for some committee work. All those in favor?
Aye.
That carries 9-0. This is just a break for committee work, so chairs, if you have anything that will take longer than 15 or so minutes of a break, you can schedule that for another meeting night. But let's have finance and property in the committee room, legal affairs, your turn on the bench, and public services, you can stay here on BevCam. Thank you.
All right, so we will call to order this meeting of the Public Services Committee at 8 p.m. All three members are still present. And we have a couple of business items we can turn to. We'll return to the Livingstone Ave for a little bit more discussion, and we'll try and wrap up by 8:15 as the other committees are coming back in. So first, order 242 we had approved 3-0. That will be reported out tonight. That's the appointment for the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. So that one is all set. Order 226, inquiries related to Public Services Committee work. Are there some quick updates you wanted to share?
Yes, actually, I had a motion, a motion to submit a request to the Waste Reduction Committee to look into whether 7-unit buildings that generate limited waste may join the city's trash and recycling services. I don't know if anyone would like to second my motion.
Is there a second? Right, further discussion?
So there is the way that our ordinance is currently written, only buildings that are 6 units or less can be part of the city's recycling and trash. There is a constituent or a number of constituents in Ward 2 who live in a 7-unit building who believe that the amount of trash that they produce each week is less than even a 5 or 6 unit building. So they're not having a large amount of waste. So they asked for some help in looking into, and I have talked to a couple departments and hit a few roadblocks. So just was wondering if it's something that the Waste Reduction Committee could look at as well.
All right, so the motion is that as a committee, we would, under this order, recommend the council refer the question about 7-unit buildings joining the city trash to the Waste Reduction Committee for discussion and possible updates to the ordinance.
or any recommendations they might have.
Great. Any further discussion on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay. Great. Anything else for order 226? Okay, that may come out as like a 226A, but we will make the recommendation. And we will either hold the rest of the questions, or the rest of the questions will just go back and we can resurface them as needed. We also have order 288, which is the new National Grid request for underground facilities on Margin Street. So I'd accept a motion to set that public hearing November 12th at 7:45 PM.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we will report that back. All right, and then we have order 252, the regulator station on Livingstone Ave. I would invite Ms. Cuddy from National Grid to share any responses that have come in since we met at 6:30. And if you wouldn't mind coming to one of the two microphones here, just so that we can hear that.
Yeah, you just turn it around. Yep.
It's on, yeah. Yeah, my apologies for not having these answers. Earlier, I was texting the wrong person who was answering me, so. But yeah, I got word back. They did look into in front of the park. That's where that different pressure main also runs in the sidewalk, so that wasn't an option. In front of the existing, if we replace it in the existing location that is in front on Livingstone, but on the other side of Bridge Street, that house, the different pressure main comes right up to the regulator station, so that wasn't ideal. It would either block their little gate, even though it's the side of the house, or it would be right up against the house if we moved the cabinets down. So that was not as desirable. So going to the other side of Bridge Street, we had the side yard of 63 Bridge. That was the preferred location because it's a side yard. They don't like to put it in front of.
Just to clarify, I think 63 Bridge is the house that currently has the regulator on its side property.
Let me see what the image I got. So 62 Bridge is the proposed location. And that's the corner of Livingstone and Bridge. So that was the preferred location because it's a side yard. They don't normally like to put it in front of the house, but based on the concerns about the accident problems that may exist there, the next ideal solution would be to move it down to 61 or 62 Livingstone, and off to the side of the frontage. The only other option was, I think, is it Rowley? Let me see what the address is here. Yeah, so that would be 98 Rowell Ave. But that was the third most desirable option because, again, it's the frontage of someone's house.
I don't see a 98 Rowell Ave. Is it a different street, maybe?
I think it's the house on the corner of Rowell and Livingstone.
To me, that looks like there's a 47 Livingstone or a 43 Livingstone. Rowell goes up to 55.
Okay, let me see what happened here. 98 Rowell Ave. It's like an off-white house with a green hedge in the front. It wasn't as desirable as the other side of Bridge Street. A little bit of a tricky location, and then in front of the hedge. Let me just Google this. But it is an option. Rowell. It's the one on the corner. Maybe it does have a Livingstone because it.
Is that 45 Livingstone on the corner of Rowell and?
Which,
that side.
yeah, which corner?
So,
There's 43 here and 47 there.
I think it's the 43, the image that was sent over to me. Yeah,
The
it is.
north side of that corner?
Yes.
Northwest, okay.
Yes, yep. So those were the three options.
So just to recap, because the addresses are a little tricky, the first option is 62 Livingstone, no, 62 Bridge.
Yep, that's right, 62. Option 2 is 63 Livingstone, which is the one with the white picket fence that faces Livingstone. And the third option is 43 Rowell on the Livingstone side. Oh, actually, let me confirm that, now that I said that. It might be on the side street.
And in each case, it's a certain distance from where the gas main currently is underground.
The gas main is in Livingstone, on Livingstone, so the station is bringing a line into the regular station and then back out. Did I answer your question?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah, it
yeah.
was just, so we're looking at exactly where that Livingstone gas main is in the ground and a short distance from it to place the regulator station.
Can I just show you the picture that he sent me, because it does say 98 Rowell Ave, is it? Can I show-
Yeah, if we can take a look. Yeah, I think that's what's showing up.
Okay,
Yeah, that's the
that's,
corner.
it's,
43.
it's 43.
Rowell, at least on the map. Maybe our neighbor in the neighborhood will recognize that corner better. Okay, so given that there are multiple locations,
Okay. And then I think in the prior, it's on, oh, I think in the prior meeting, we had asked about, or Councilor Rotundo had asked about, let me find this number.
47 Livingston.
40, in front of 47 Livingstone. So the house that you have the picture of is 43, so like the southwest corner of that same intersection, do you know?
With Rowley, that
With
one?
Rowell, yeah.
So that will not work because there's a different pressure gas main in the sidewalk that comes right up to the regulator station. So they don't have any room to put in the new one and then put all the other, run the piping back out to the street.
Okay,
And if they move it closer to Bridge Street, then they run into the problem with having the cabinets in front of the driveway there, the house on the corner, because it's a wide driveway.
any other questions? Yeah, can you just take your...
So if they go on the opposite corner where you were talking about just now, where would they actually put it? Would it be on Livingston or would it be on Rowell on the side of the house? Is it going to be in front of the bushes there or?
Yes, in front of the hedge. And it looks to me from what he sent, it's the sides, it's Rowell. But let me just confirm that. Yeah, it looks like it would be the side street, so it would be on Rowell Ave, the way the pitch of the house is, the roof.
Yeah, I saw that, okay.
Okay, so I would suggest, we're coming up on the end of our committee break. I would suggest that we hold on to this one and allow some additional time for the National Grid team to clarify those placements and check in with the homeowners at each site on any additional concerns. We can let Councilor Rotundo know as well that that's happening. And then at our next meeting, can hear the report back and report out either a recommendation on this piece or on a revised plan.
I do know, so what he will recommend the original location, then moving it down the street
So
on.
in that order.
Right, and then this Rowell, yeah.
Great.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And then before we close, is there anything else from the neighborhood side that we want to be sure is part of that conversation between National Grid and the neighborhood between our meetings?
Say that one more time.
Essentially, do you have any other questions that you want to make sure we hear before that conversation takes place between National Grid and neighbors before our next meeting?
Question, I would say no. I would just reiterate that the preferred location, obviously my personal opinion aside, or trying to put that aside, is of the location suggested easily the highest traffic, and my concerns about the obstructions on the sidewalk for that high level of traffic and the safety or lack thereof remain.
Thank you. So I'll call to order the committee of the whole, though we will close it quickly. So to Ms. Cuddy, if you can take that back to the team, what we heard in the committee meeting earlier, additional questions about just clarifying the placement and discussing with those neighbors and Councilor Rotundo. We're all available to answer questions as well in the meantime. And then at our next meeting, we'll pick back up and see where things have gotten to by then. If there's any further communication to the committee, it can go through the clerk's office to be added to the record for this order as well.
Quick question. I know it was brought up in the, I know it was brought up in the, earlier today and stuff like that, as far as the potential. You've been doing an awesome job as far as going the back and forth and all that type stuff, but what are the chances of maybe having somebody that not that you don't understand it, please don't take that, as far as that could maybe, come here, and maybe we can hash it out once and for all. You know what I mean? What's good, what's where, what's happening, instead of all of this going back and forth, so that we all get a good, just a thought, just a recommendation from our side to you folks.
Yeah, I can certainly ask. I know he wasn't available tonight. He was a design engineer, so I do understand. I just didn't know what he did for the siting process, so I feel comfortable relaying what he did. I just, when another question comes up, going back to that, but I know he did a thorough job. He's really good like that, so I'll ask, though.
Okay,
and then I just had a question. So with regards to reaching out to those 3 homeowners, you mean to go out directly, or will they come to a meeting, or?
So my recommendation is that communication happen between National Grid and the neighbors to come
Separately,
back to us
okay.
with a plan. And if it's helpful for us to schedule a committee meeting in the meantime, we can be in touch with you about if the design engineer is available, we could connect with neighbors to schedule that if it's easiest to meet all together.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll hold that order in committee for now, pending either a next meeting or a report back before our next regular city council meeting. And that is everything that we've got. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn the committee of the whole.
So moved.
Second.
And all those in favor?
Yep.
Leaving those ignoring us. And a motion to adjourn the Committee on Public Services.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Yes, it was.
Maybe not.
Thank you, everyone. We'll call the full council back to order, and we will pick up here with reports from committees. Ms. Kent.
Order number 242, the Committee on Public Services, to whom referred the matter regarding appointment for John Hersey to serve on the Bike and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, have considered the matter and recommend the council approve this appointment.
Are there questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
That carries 9-0. Thank you very much.
Order number 288, the Committee on Public Services, to whom refer the matter regarding National Grid's Work Order 30992374, recommend that set a public hearing for November 12th at 7:45 PM.
Thank you. Councilors, I would entertain a motion to set that public hearing as recommended.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That carries 9-0. Thank you very much.
Order number 226 from the Public Services, to recommend the council refer the question of 7-unit buildings joining city trash pickup to Waste Reduction Committee for recommendations, and change and put the number to 226A to split the order.
Questions or comments? The question comes on the acceptance of the proposal to make this referral to the Waste Reduction Committee. All those in favor?
Aye.
That carries 9-0. Thank you very much.
Order number 256, Committee on Finance and Property, to whom referred the matter regarding a fund transfer of $2,850,000 from the road resurfacing account into the road sidewalks capital account, have considered the matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Are there questions or comments on this one? We did have an opportunity for lots of good questions and discussion earlier tonight in the public hearing, so thank you, councilors, for that. Thanks also to Finance Director Mr. Ailes and our Engineering Director Lisa Chandler, of course, Mr. Perry for being here for that portion. So with that, the question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and the adoption of the order. All those in favor?
Aye.
That carries 9-0. Thank you.
Order number 268, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom refer the matter regarding a grant for $24,600 from the Mass Cultural Council to support Beverly's local cultural council, have considered the matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and the adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 9-0.
Order number 270, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom refer the matter regarding a loan authorization in the amount of $24,600,000 to fund the City Hall rehabilitation project, have considered the matter and beg leave to follow. Set a public hearing for November 12th at 8:15 PM.
I would entertain a motion to set that public hearing as recommended by the subcommittee for November 12th, 8:15 PM.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That carries 9-0. Thanks.
Order number 271, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom referred the matter regarding a grant for $85,000 housing choice grant from the Driscoll Administration Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities to support the development of an economic development plan, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Are there questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
That carries 9-0.
Order number 282 from the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom refer the matter regarding a request for approval to use FY 2025 appropriated funds towards 6 prior year invoices totaling $3,442.92. Have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Carries 9-0.
Order number 283, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom referred the matter regarding a loan authorization in the amount of $3,516,000 to authorize the city to order 8 electric school buses and charging infrastructures. Have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Set a public hearing for November 12th at 7:55 PM.
I would entertain a motion to set the public hearing as recommended for November 12th, 7:55 PM.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That carries 9-0.
Order number 284, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom refer the matter regarding a $95,000 earmark in the FY 25 state budget to support coastal resiliency projects, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Carries 9-0.
Order number 285, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom refer the matter regarding a $200,000 earmark in the FY25 state budget to renovate Gills Park and Ward 2. Have considered the matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Are there questions or comments? Counselor Spang.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to echo the thanks to Representative Paracella, the mayor's office, as well as our grants director, and the Friends of Gillis Park group that pushed very hard for this earmark. So thank you all for your work.
Thank you very much, Counselor Spang. Other questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Carries 9-0.
Order number 286, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom refer the matter regarding a $100,000 earmark in the FY25 state budget to support planning and engineering costs associated with Phase 2 of the Route 128 Exit 19 Interchange Improvement Projects. Have considered the matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Are there questions or comments on this one? Counselor Bowen.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify, since it's called different things in different places, which of the two projects we've been discussing this one is for, and I believe it's for the roundabout project. It's not, it's for the overpass project.
I don't think so, because it doesn't say.
Oh, Counselor Feldman, will you turn your microphone on? Please? Thank you.
The lack of the word Dunham Road and Brimble Road on this makes me think that and Phase 2 was always the overpass and the Route 128 interchange, not when we refer to the roundabout or the peanut about, that's Dunham and Brimble. So the wording, to me, indicates it's the overpass. And I think all the other funding was Mass Works for that, the peanut about, so I don't think we would be even seeking.
Thank
My
you.
expert opinion on Ward 5.
I would just say that was our understanding as well in finance and property.
Thank you, Counselor St. Hilaire. And I don't want to speak for you, but our planning director, Darlene Nguyen, I saw you nodding your head to concur with what Counselor Feldman was offering. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. I know both projects need additional funding to keep moving forward, and they're coming from multiple sources, so I just wanted that clarification.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
That carries 9-0, and thank you to our grants director, Catherine Barrett, for being with us in subcommittee and being with us this evening.
Order number 236, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom refer the matter regarding a request to set a public hearing to review amendments to the Beverly zoning ordinance to comply with MGL Chapter 40A, Section 3A, MBTA Community Acts. Have considered the matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Thank you. Are there questions or comments? This is for a first reading.
Oh, probably. Yes, sorry. Notice is hereby given in accordance with MGL Chapter 40A, Section 5, that Beverly City Council and Beverly Planning Board will hold a joint public hearing on Monday, October 7th, 2024, at 7:30 PM in the City Council Chamber, City Hall, 3rd floor, relative to proposed amendments to various sections of the Beverly Code of Ordinance, Chapter 300 zoning and zoning map for the purpose of complying with MGL Chapter 40A, Section 3A, commonly known as the MBTA Community Zoning Law. And this was in the newspaper on September 23rd and September 30th. Copies of the proposed amendments are also in the planning department and the city clerk's office.
Thank you. So these recommended zoning changes are available for a first vote this evening, coming back out of legal affairs. Councilor Houseman, do you want to say anything about your subcommittee had the opportunity to see the recommendation from the planning board?
Yes, we did. There was very little discussion.
Oh, will you put your microphone on? Thank you.
Yes, Council President. There was very little discussion. The subcommittee seemed to, our discussion seemed to reflect the overall discussion for the council as a whole in favor. Darlene Nguyen was available to answer questions, and we voted it out favorably.
Thank you very much, Councilor. Ms. Nguyen, was there anything else that you wanted to be able to add at this point? Okay, thank you. Councilors, are there other questions or comments? Councilor Stein.
I just would like to add the comment that I understand why it's happening this way right now, but on behalf of my constituents and myself, I am hopeful that there will be multifamily zoning in places that are not strictly Ward 2 downtown in the future, as soon as possible.
Thank you very much, Councillor Spang. Any other discussion at this time? So I would entertain a motion to approve this for a first vote.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you. That carries 9-0 this evening.
Order number 257, the Committee on Legal Affairs for the reappointment of Christopher Jiggis of 5 Tammy Lane to serve as constable in the city of Beverly have considered said matter and recommend the council approve this reappointment.
Are there questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Carries 9-0.
Order number 265, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom refer the matter regarding an application for a license to sell Christmas trees, Liberty Lodge Mason, 10 Charnock Street, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the license be granted.
Questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carries 9-0.
Order number 273, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom refer the matter regarding renewal application for Class 2 license for Generation 2000 Auto Sales LLC, DBA Marshall Motors North, 94 Cabot Street, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the license be granted.
Questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
That carries 9-0.
Order number 274, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom refer the matter regarding a renewal application for a Class 2 license for Beverly Gas and Tire, 383 Cabot Street, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the license be granted.
Questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Carries 9-0.
Committee on Legal Affairs, order number 275, to whom refer the matter regarding a renewal application for a taxi livery license for logistics transportation services, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the license be granted.
Questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Carries 9-0.
Order number 276, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom refer the matter regarding a renewal application for Class 2 license for All Wheels, Inc., 97 Park Street, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the license be granted.
Questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Carries 9-0.
Order number 277, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom refer the matter regarding a renewal application for a Class 3 license for All Wheels, Inc., 97 Park Street, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this license. Granted.
Questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Carries 9-0.
Order number 281, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom refer the matter regarding a request to waive the city's right of first refusal on resale of an affordable housing unit, new buyer, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Are there questions or comments on this one? Are there questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Carries 9-0.
Order number 287, the Committee on Legal Affairs. So it looks like the Rule 26 was suspended, so you want the first reading tonight?
Oh, yes. If it was suspended in subcommittee, I'll entertain a motion to also suspend council rules here on the floor this evening. Councilors, you'll remember this is our rule that makes it a bit ambiguous how many times an ordinance change has to appear. But it is clear that it needs 2 votes, 2 readings and 2 votes. So I entertain a motion to suspend council rules so that we could take a first vote this evening. Any further discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Carries 9-0. So now, Ms. Kent, if you would give us a first reading.
I'm just going to read what Lisa wrote, because I don't have the full thing for the newspaper. Order number 287, request for ordinance change, section 270-25B, stop intersections. This request is submitted for the purpose of adding to the City of Beverly Ordinance, section 270-25B, a stop sign at 2 locations, Edgewood Road at Long Meadow Road and Sawyer Road at Colon Street. And this was not in the paper yet, but will be.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kent. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there any further discussion this evening? All those in favor? That carries 9-0, and we will take a second vote on that at our next meeting.
Order number 269, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom refer the matter regarding an order to declare a portion of McPherson Drive available for disposition, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Are there questions or comments on this? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Carries 9-0.
Order number 269A, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom refer the matter regarding an order authorizing grant of utility easement to Massachusetts Electric Company at 4 McPherson Drive, had considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Carries 9-0. It's electric, Ms. Kent. Thank you. Councilors, are there any announcements or reminders from members of the council? Councilor Crowley.
Sure, just to let everybody know if you're interested, this Saturday, we're going to be doing pumpkins and pizza at Holcroft Park from 12 to 4. Kids can go down and decorate pumpkins, and we'll have pizza and stuff. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilor. Any other announcements or reminders from members of the council? Councilor Spang.
Thanks. There is the downtown trick or treat this Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m. And Cabot Street will be closed from the Pond Street to Railroad Avenue from 3:30 to 6:30 on Thursday afternoon.
Thank you, Councilor Spang.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I have one other.
Please.
That I don't think we have a council meeting before, but the Citizens Advisory Committee for the National Grid Project that normally meets in the library on November 7th will be meeting at 5 o'clock at the Council on Aging instead of the library.
Thank you very much, Councilor Spang. Are there other reminders or announcements from members of the council? Our next council meeting is November 11th. That is November 12th, thank you. That's true, November 11th is a holiday. November 12th, and that is a week later than you might be expecting, and that is because of the election the first week of November. And so a reminder also to those watching that early voting is happening now here at City Hall. And Ms. Kent, until what day can people come for early voting?
November 1st.
Until November 1st. Good try on the microphone. And thank you to our clerk's office team that I know is working really hard to make sure that everything is running smoothly with that. Any other announcements or reminders? Well, with that, thank you to everyone who joined us this evening. Thank you, members of the public. Thank you, city staff and members of the administration. Thank you, Kim, in the BevCam booth, as always, for making sure that our meeting is accessible to everyone, whether they're able to come and join us this evening or watch to catch up on it later. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. All those in favor? Thank you very much.